Welcome into Compute This and the After Schrock Show. All right, so it's good to have you on board with us here. I'm going to kind of give a few minutes for everybody to get connected so that everybody can start getting into the stream and making sure that they can hear me okay. And once I know they can hear me okay, I can proceed with confidence. So anyway, I want to welcome everybody in and let everybody know who's listening in the Des Moines market. To remind you that the specials in the Des Moines Service Center end at the end of September. So on October 1st, all pricing goes to normal Schrock pricing levels. So if you want to come in and take advantage of a free maintenance checkup, if you want to come in and take advantage of up to 30% off a computer, if you want to come in and take advantage of a free hour of labor as a new customer, about the only thing that's going to keep going is the new hour, first hour of labor free for new customers. Everything else is going to end and go to normal pricing. So anyway, this week in the Service Center we had a couple service failings in the Des Moines Service Center, two separate incidents. One was a situation with a new build that had a flaw in its construction. It was when we built it, it was built incorrectly in Papillion. Then it was sent to Des Moines, and Des Moines basically sold it, and it came back 3 times. Nobody found the problem, and it was just an epic Charlie Foxtrot. It was bad. And so from a service perspective, it was an utter failure. So I want to personally apologize to that customer. I know they're watching right now, and I'm sorry that that happened to you. That's not the kind of service that we want to deliver. We had another situation where a hard drive got dropped by one of the technicians, a Butterfingers moment, and it dropped, and it killed the drive. So we sent it to the data recovery lab in Omaha and recovered the data for free. Thankfully, a full recovery. We were able to make it right with the customer, but still things you don't want to see happen. So these are all, some of these things are just, wow, what's in the water this week? And some of this stuff is a training issue, and some of the stuff is a quality control issue. So the good news here is these are the kind of mistakes that you have when you're growing. The problem that comes from this is the staff was very frustrated. They were frustrated with the situation, and they were frustrated because nobody likes to deliver bad news, right? And they were frustrated because in this scenario, there was a particular individual who was very vocal with their displeasure with the staff, personally vocal about it. And that you take that home with you. And it's hard not to when you're a human being, right? Especially the human beings that we hire. We hire people who care, people who are internalizing the job, people who want to be here and want to do well and want to serve. And when circumstances beyond their control or within their control have failed, it can be a really emotionally taxing situation. So there was a lot of growth and a lot of learning this week in the Des Moines Service Center, but those are the things we have to go through in order to get where we want to go, which is have that level of award-winning service. You've got to experience a failure so you know what to avoid. And now we've experienced those failures, and now we know what to avoid. So while it's incredibly unfortunate, and I'm very sorry that it happened to any customer, we obviously train really hard to make sure these things don't happen. Something always happens. And when something happens, we learn from it. And so, like I said, we're human. We learn from our mistakes like anybody else, and then we move forward and deliver that award-winning service in the best way we possibly can to everybody else. I was having a conversation. There was a little get-together for a 50th birthday party yesterday for somebody. And we were talking about hiring people and trying to find good kids to come work for you. And by kids, I mean people under the age of 30. It's like, when did that become a kid? Gosh, I'm getting old. But anyway, getting good employees to come work for you. And we were talking about, Chick-fil-A. Where do they find these kids, right? I mean, unless it's the Chick-fil-A in Bellevue, Nebraska, that's the one that, I don't know, they have a problem there. But all the other Chick-fil-A's, it's like, when those kids go home from work and their mom tells them, pick up your socks, do they say, my pleasure, and pick up the socks? Like, could you send your kid to, like, Chick-fil-A boot camp to learn manners? That was the joke. Is like, my daughter wants to get a job, and I told her she should go get a job at Chick-fil-A because they could help her with her manners, and she didn't appreciate that very much. So anyway, it was just a funny, weird service thought. Like, the kids that work at Chick-fil-A, do they go home and like say my pleasure to everything? It would be my pleasure to do that, Mom. Like, wow, parent dream right there. Alrighty. Hey, Winston, good to have you. Mitch, welcome aboard. As the new Windows 10 downloads, will the volume of my SSD increase? Good question. The short answer is no, not in the short run. The long answer is yes after a maintenance checkup. What ends up happening is Microsoft saves. When you get a feature upgrade, you can roll back that feature upgrade up to 30 days after you get it. And so to do that, Microsoft has to keep your old operating system on the hard drive. And so when you come in for a maintenance checkup, we tell you, oh, we removed like 2 gigabytes of garbage from your drive you didn't need anymore. A lot of that are patch uninstall files that you don't need anymore. And obviously, very full solid-state hard drives lead to failures. That's when solid states fail, is when they become very full. There's a lot of reasons behind that. That's what you want to avoid. So if your solid state hard drive is pushing its limit and you're worried about its capacity, it's probably time to upgrade to a larger solid state hard drive so you don't have that worry anymore, because otherwise eventually it will fail. When the hard drive is very full, a solid state drive, it only leaves a small area available for the drive to use, and the drive is programmed to randomize its read writes over all the available space on the drive, because otherwise it just wears on the same spot over and over again and eventually fails. Well, we don't want that, right? So we want it to wear evenly, but if there's only a small number of spaces available to use, it can randomize among them, but it's going to wear a nice hole and it's going to break. And when it breaks, you're going to need a new hard drive, and it's not fun for anybody, possibly a data recovery. So you don't want a situation where you have a very full solid-state hard drive. You want to avoid that at all costs. Alrighty, Mark, good morning. Grand Island. May all after Schrockers have a wonderful day. And if you're not an after Schrocker, you can have a crappy day. I didn't say it, Mark said it. Well, it's like UNMC. It's not what he's saying, it's what he's not saying. Hey, Roger, Richard, good to have you. Deborah, nice to see you here. It's Schrockville time. Coffee and a donut. That's right. Audio's good. Thank you, Winston, the unofficial. We should just make it official. Well, he's the official audio engineer of the Compute This Radio program. So if there is ever a problem with the audio, you can take it up with Winston. Yeah, it was crazy. Right at the end of the show, guys, I don't know if you heard that the show ending was a little funky. Right at the end of the program, like, Emily is walking around. She's even getting on camera, and I'm like, what are you doing, Emily? What's going on? And I can't just stop the show and say, what's going on, Emily? And she's looking at all the screens, and she's turning knobs and stuff. I thought she was working on the caller audio problem. No, basically the entire automation suite for KFAB crashed. And so nothing was auto-popping. So normally if I go I have a bar, like a progress bar, that tells me how long I have, and so back timing is trying to end the program right as that bar gets to the end. So you have a nice clean snap, and then you go into the promo for the weather, news, whatever it is. Well, I have no bar. There's no bar at all. There's no clock. I'm looking at the clock up here. This clock is still, it's about right now. So this clock has been unreliable on the wall the last 2 weeks, so I don't trust it. But I'm looking at the digital clock on the computer, and it says 8:00 and 20 seconds. So I'm like, according to the unofficial clock here, I'm 20 seconds over. I'm 20 seconds into the news right now. I'm supposed to have ended like 30 seconds ago. And I feel it, like something's not right. I feel like I'm filling. I had this story. I had an internal sense of how much time I had to have to fill. And now I'm just spinning. I'm like trying to keep something coming out of my mouth because I'm like, why am I still talking? And then all of a sudden I'm looking at the clock, and so finally I'm just like, Emily, I think I'm 20 seconds long. All right, have a great day. Good aftershock. See you later. Bye-bye. Pew. Out. So anyway, that was, apologize for the rough ending there. Good morning, Carolyn from Round Rock, Texas. I don't know if you guys saw that video or not. Carolyn, you saying Texas made me think of it. Dan Crenshaw. He's the congressman with the eye patch, right? That's what everybody remembers him, because of the eye patch. It's unfortunate, but his eyes were hurt by an IED explosion. One eye was lost, the other eye was damaged and repaired with surgery. But he got all of the Republican congressmen together from Texas, and they cut a joint campaign video. And literally, he played Nick Fury. He jumped out of a helicopter or an airplane or whatever, parachuted down. I'm assembling a team. We need you on the team. Texas has a better use for your time. And he gets them all together, and then they're doing their thing, like as a squad, basically. And that's what it was. It's an answer for the AOC squad, except it's a campaign thing where Dan Crenshaw's trying to get all these other Republican candidates in their congressional seats elected. It's a brilliant move. He's got the money, he's got the position, he's got the donors. They don't necessarily, because a lot of them are in areas that were controlled by Democrats. And so, but the funny thing was, setting all politics aside, why can't all political campaign videos be like that? There was not one negative thing. There was not one promise of what I'm going to give you that the other guy won't give you. There wasn't any fear. It was all positive. We're building a team to make Texas a better place. And by golly, it gave me runner-up status for the South Dakota videos. If you've seen the South Dakota videos from the governor there about promoting South Dakota, come on in. You know, it's great here. I'm like, why am I in Nebraska? I should be in South Dakota right now. And then I see the ads. I see Crenshaw's ad. I'm like, I should be in Texas right now. Carolyn agrees we should be in Texas right now. So anyway, if you haven't had a chance to do that, if you're bored this afternoon, Google Crenshaw and Texas campaign ad. It's got over 1 million views. It's going viral. So because it's cheesy, okay? It's super cheesy, but it's genuinely funny, and it shows you that these people are genuinely real people that have real skills and real jobs and real things that they do outside of Congress. And Texas has a better use for your time right now. So come give some of your time to Texas, and you can go back to doing what you're doing. They had one guy who was an airplane mechanic, and he was underneath working on a helicopter in the video. And I don't know if like somebody shot that, and then afterward somebody who knew, like, Air Force airplane mechanics don't work on helicopters. And so in the video they address it. Like, he's like, "What were you doing working under the helicopter?" And he's like, "I don't know, typical Air Force thing, always fixing the Army's problems." You know, and they got a dig in it, like an inner forces dig in there too. It was just really well done, really funny. All right, much better than the regular show. Wow, Dean. Maybe it's because I'm liberated to do whatever I want to do and go freeform. This is how I used to do all the radio shows. Was literally I wouldn't do any show prep. I would sit down. I'd come 5 minutes before the show, open up the news, look at all the stories, pick 3 or 4 stories in case I had time for them, and say, "Hey, welcome in, guys. Let's do this." It's great in theory. It's more fun to do. It's less work for me. But the problem is it leads to an inconsistent show. So it sounds great when I have a lot of callers on the air. It doesn't sound great when I don't have any callers. And so the problem that I had was I wasn't hitting key points. I was not, I know everybody's tired of hearing about Safe Upgrade. I get it. But here's the thing. I mean, we have 500 licenses and we need to sell them all. And so I've got to keep going and talking about it because new people come in every week. You guys, what you don't see on my end is the number of people who buy licenses when I talk about it. We're a business. We have to have money to pay our people. Oh my gosh. And then we have challenges like everybody else. So here's a business story for you. Have you ever had OPPD? You set up auto payments, right, for your electric bill. So in Nebraska, it's Omaha Public Power District. So OPPD, or I guess in the rest of Nebraska, it's the Nebraska Public Power District, or Lincoln Electric System in Lincoln. But in Omaha and Papillion, it's OPPD. And our Papillion Service Center obviously gets its power from OPPD. Our typical power bill there is around $600 a month. They auto-drafted an $11,000 payment out of our account on a payroll Friday. Small business owners know what I'm talking about right now, right? Like, all the payroll taxes come out on Friday, then everybody gets their checks. $11,000 for power. So I wake up in the morning, do the business owner thing, let's check all the accounts, make sure everything's good, the sweeps are all working and everything's good. What in the Sam Houston? OPPD. Turns out, since COVID hit, no one has ever been out to read our meter. So they're working off estimates of how much power they think we're using based on how much power is being used by everybody near us. Well, I don't know who near us is using $11,000 worth of power in a month, but let me tell you, the Bitcoin mine that I run that generates enough heat to heat, a freaking gymnasium with the electricity that it burns, only burns $3,000 a month in power. I don't think the service connected to our bay is physically capable of delivering $11,000 worth of power in a calendar month. But that's the thing. They're saying, well, these are estimates. So it could have been that your previous year's worth of bills were being underreported, and now you're current. Now we're bringing you current again. Wow, okay, nothing like a punch in the gut, okay. But you're telling me you're bringing me current by estimating a larger bill. No one came out to read the meter. So on Friday, I'm talking to her. I'm like, listen, this is a payroll Friday. You guys are knocking us for $11,000 when we were expecting like $3 between the mine and the service center and everything. This is ridiculous. This is like, you do this to a consumer, and this is bad, right? Imagine somebody does that to you. You know, it takes deducts 20 times the amount they normally would for a power bill. You know, so instead of your $600 a month, you get $5,000 taken out of your bank account. Would that put a pinch in your finances a little bit? Yeah, I mean, it's... And so I'm calling them, and OPPD's like, well, the soonest we can get someone out to read the meter is like mid-next week. You're kidding me, right? So there's no corrective action that we can take. Literally, the lady on the phone is looking at the historical bars on the chart, and they're all lining up except for this one giant candle for September of 2020. Boom! Where we used $11,000 worth of power, apparently. Oh, we didn't, and I'm sure it'll get made right, but it's one of those frustrating things. So yes, we have stuff like that happens too. But you know, the challenge here, guys, is as I've gotten older and a little more experienced at this stuff, and a little bit less prideful, honestly, I can realize and admit that I make mistakes and I forget things. And I still do, even with the schedule. I didn't talk about Drive Advisor or Secure Updater at all in that show, and it's on 2 different sections of my notes to talk about it. But we had a lot of callers. And so callers are what makes the show. That's what makes the show fun to listen to. So I can afford to drop a Secure Updater or a Drive Advisor. I've got to talk about Safe Upgrade. See, that wouldn't have happened in the past. I would have just wandered wherever my heart would take me, and I've gone off on a tangent, talked about the kind of stuff I'm talking about now. In the middle of this story, I had a random neuron fire about my power bill in Papillion, and I went down that road, and that's what would have happened on the radio show. So now we have these agenda-driven shows. That's how we've been doing it for a year, and I think it makes a cleaner product. I think it makes a more entertaining product. I can still be funny, I can still be entertaining, but I can still get the job done too. The Aftershock is really nice because I can just ramble like this and go on, and people, for whatever reason, watch it. I don't understand, but everybody's like, "Oh wow, this is better than the show," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Maybe it's because it's it's less salesy, obviously, and it's a little more raw because you get to see like what I'm really thinking about stuff, and honestly, it helps me stay connected with you guys. I was not a mammal built for desk work, and unfortunately. Once we got the Des Moines Service Center launched, I still go down there like once a week to provide a training day and just, you know, kind of keep my eyes open. I have my laptop there and I'm working on stuff, but my ears are open, my eyes are open, I'm listening, I'm watching, and trying to get something done. But Schrock Interactive really desperately needed some assistance. The systems were not performing the way they needed to, the internal systems for development. People were still getting their websites. They were just, projects were going over budget, projects were taking longer to complete than scheduled. Results were there. We were doing what we needed to do. It was just taking too long and it was costing too much money, and it was becoming like a negative drain on the resources of Schrock Innovations. Schrock Interactive was born to service Schrock Innovations. Because as time goes on, you know, we needed the ability to do all these cool things that we haven't done before. We have a Schrock app in the works right now, and originally I'm like, what in the world would I put in a Schrock app? Like, why would anybody download the Schrock Innovations app to their phone? Of all the dumb stuff. Well, guess what? You could watch the radio show right through the app, rather than having to go to Facebook or anything. That's a positive, right? What if all of your computer's security status, hard drive health status, specifications were all listed right in the app? Now, with everything going online like it is, what if all of your purchase and work order histories were all available in the app? Your extended warranty dates and expiration dates were all in the app. Yeah, there's a lot we could put in an app. A lot that would be really useful for people. What if Drive Advisor could send you a push notification to your phone when your hard drive was failing? Would that not be awesome? Right? So there's all kinds of stuff we can do, but Schrock Interactive makes that stuff happen. The problem is if they have a 20% inefficiency when they work, it makes the innovations for Schrock slower. It makes the projects for everybody else slower as well. Because that's how we pay for them, is by having them do projects for other people. So this has evolved over time into its own, basically a division of Schrock. It's technically a completely separate business when you look at it. It's business to business, whereas Schrock is mostly business to consumer, Schrock Innovations. Schrock Interactive is business to business, doesn't really have a lot of consumers that it interacts with, and none really. So anyway, unless they're supporting some product that we made, like Safe Upgrade, there's no interaction at all. So Annette, one of our employees at Schrock Interactive, her son sadly passed away about a week and a half ago. So she is out on family leave until she's ready to come back, as much time as she needs. But in the meantime, the world keeps turning, right? So now I'm taking off my Des Moines hat and putting on my project manager hat, and now I'm running the projects and handling the sales for Schrock Interactive. And I don't know what happened, but everybody in the world wanted a proposal last week. And it was like proposal, and then I'm like, whoo, they're done. And then all of a sudden they're approved. Approved, and now it's like plan, send the plans out. And then approved. It's like it never ends, oh God, But the good news is we're cranking out some really quality product, and part of that is me cracking the whip on people. Like, not in a bad way. I'm not saying like, you work harder, you lazy people, but let's work as a unit rather than as individuals. Anyone who's ever been in a small unit knows that small unit tactics, if you have one individual who goes off on their own and does their own thing at their own speed, it blows up the entire unit. So why are we working on everything in a linear fashion when we can work on everything at the same time, but put different people on different places in the task and have it come together right on time? Or even early. That would be great. So we just posted a new logo. You probably saw it on the Facebook page when you logged in to see the radio show for Rogers and Associates. And this is one of the things that's cool when we do this stuff. Schrock Interactive is a digital marketing company. It's almost like a marketing agency that happens to build websites. Because the first thing we do is I sit down with a business owner and say, okay, what are you trying to do? And 9 times out of 10, they don't know what they're trying to do. And so who's your target demographic? Everybody. Oh my gosh, no, it's not everybody. There are people you don't want. And people are like, what do you mean? I'll take anybody's money. No, there's people's money you don't want. Trust me. There are those people that exist. There are people who you would be better served sending to your competition. Those people exist in life. The people who are emotional drains, who are drama queens, who are, we've had one person we've ever had to actually ban from a Schrock service center. He was literally calling our employees racist names to their face in the service center and calling and harassing. We had to go into our phone systems and block his phone number so he could never call us again. The police know who he is. Apparently he's been called several times. He goes and does this to other businesses, whatever. So Schrock Interactive is this digital marketing agency that is causing these great results to happen for small businesses through planning that they don't have the access to normally. Now we couch that planning in planning a website, but really what we're doing is planning a business model, because eventually the majority of business will be conducted on the internet. Eventually, years in the future, right? But the curve is going that way. So you can still provide business services locally, but if you don't have the web presence, you may as well be sending your correspondence on a typewriter with a stamp. That's literally where the world's going. So Rogers and Associates, it was great. I got to learn all about this industry. I had no idea. When you have a medical claim, like when you go to a doctor and something goes wrong and you're going to sue, you go to an attorney, and the attorney doesn't go through all your documents. They're not the doctor or a nurse or whatever. There's something called a licensed nurse practitioner that goes through all the stuff for the attorney. So the attorney takes all your documents, gives them to the nurse practitioner, who goes through everything, legal nurse practitioner, and goes through everything, not licensed, it's legal nurse practitioner, goes through it and says, okay, here is, this person has a case, this person doesn't have a case, or this person has a very strong case, this person has a weaker case. And from that report that's generated, the attorney can determine whether or not to represent that individual or what recommendation to give them about their case. A whole sub-industry I had no idea even existed. And Ginger is like, literally, I've been in nursing since 1993. She's a doctor. She's a doctor nurse. She's got the background in all these areas. She's got connections just coming out of her ears with anyone you could possibly need in the medical community for expert testimony, anything like that. So she says, I'm going to start Rogers and Associates, and we're going to provide these services to attorneys. And so we literally start with square one. What are you going to do? Who are you going to target? How are you going to do it? What do we consider a conversion? What is the purpose of this website page? And then at the end of the day, we need creatives. And so we just created a logo for Rogers & Associates, and it's some of the best work that Schrock Interactive has kicked out in a long time. So there is some really exciting stuff coming, guys. We're going to be doing some crazy things with the Schrock website. We're going to be doing we're going to completely scrap and reinvigorate the Schrock Interactive website, SchrockInteractive.com, if you want to take a look at it now, because it's going away. But really cool stuff. So if you are a business or you're thinking of starting a business and you want to have a consultation, I do those consultations, actually. We'll sit on a Zoom call, and it's supposed to be a half-hour Zoom call, but when there's synergy, when we get our juices going and I get excited. I went to this birthday party for a 50-year-old yesterday, and at the party, some dude, he's making Dungeons and Dragons dice. You remember Dungeons and Dragons? I guess it's coming back. And so all these 50-year-old guys are playing D&D now, right? So, but custom dice with custom, you can have your logo on them and everything like that. Well, having them made in China is super expensive, and you can't really customize them. So he invented a mold block, and this existed for some time, but he's really perfected it, using resins instead to make custom dice. And he went through the whole thing about it. And honestly, I don't play D&D. I tried it when I was a kid. It never really resonated with me too much. But the thing of it is, the passion that this guy had for his product, I've been there. I've had so much passion for a product that I talk about it to people well beyond when polite conversation would have said it's time to shut your mouth, Thor. And he was doing that. And it was like, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be polite to this guy. I'm going to listen to him. And honestly, the more I listen to him, his idea is fabulous. He's making some mistakes with it. He's not charging nearly enough. He's going to do a Kickstarter, and that's perfect. But, dude, your price needs to be for a mold, for other people to create the dice. You're not creating the dice, and the mold wears out over time. First molds out of the gate should be $400 a mold. You know how much it costs to make an injection mold for plastics? $30,000. $400 is nothing for a mold that you're going to make dice with. And you can make how many dice? You can sell the dice for $80 a set? Come on. 4 sets of dice, you break even. Go. 5 sets of dice, you break even. So anyway, it was just really, I love talking to entrepreneurs. And it gets me excited, and then I get them excited, and then we're all excited, and then we have a proposal. So we call that the Razzle Dazzle. So we have the Razzle Dazzle meeting. Everybody gets excited, and there's a proposal where everything gets very real. This is what we're going to accomplish. This is how we're going to accomplish it. And then we move forward from that to a project document that breaks it into checkpoints. You're not going to give us a check for the full amount up front. That's not motivating to us at all. I want my staff to be motivated to get to the next checkpoint to get the next payday. I want us to get to the next checkpoint so that we get your project developed on time or ahead of schedule. Project Management 101. There's a receivable attached to every checkpoint and an approval attached to the completion of every checkpoint. And then once the project is done and launched, there's retroactive surveying that happens. How did you like the process? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? That eventually develops to a testimonial, and we go forward from there. So that's what we're doing with Schrock Interactive right now, and it's completely different than what other web houses are doing and what other marketing agencies are doing. Yeah, I'm excited about it if you couldn't tell. But yeah, so if you're an entrepreneur and you need a product looked at, something like that, to figure out what you want to do with it, I'd be happy to have a call with you. It'd be a lot of fun. Alrighty. My dealing with Weston Boy staff has been great each time. Justin, Chelsea, or Shelly. Yeah, Shelly spells her name funny. Logan and Tom all have great customer service, phone and in-store. Thank you so much, Helen. You have no idea how much they all needed to hear that this week. It's been a rough week in Des Moines. Like I said, it was just 2 mistakes out of 100+ tickets. 2 mistakes. And the 2 mistakes are what you remember. It's hard sometimes. This is how good Alexa and Google are getting. I live at the Lake of the Ozarks and listen to KFAB on a device. When KFAB goes to a commercial, they play a local ad. Getting scary. Wow. Well, that could be the iHeart app, though. iHeart Radio might be doing that, selling the local ads for the local companies. I don't know that that's Google or Alexa. It could be iHeart. Lovely Kimberly, I asked for some new graphics this week. This is how she gets them. She says, well, now I need a larger solid state. All right, Sherilyn, Rich, and Council Bluffs, good morning. Good morning, Nan. Thanks for coming with us today. Carolyn, love that video. Yeah, the video. Yeah, the Crenshaw video is amazing. 23 days and counting, headed to Pierre, South Dakota. Go, Deborah. I hope you saw my email during the show today requesting your assistance. Nancy, I did see it. I just haven't had a chance to respond to it yet. So I'm going to make sure it gets the attention it deserves. I know we're in there today from noon till 5. We'll get you taken care of. Part of the problem, Nancy, is we've launched a new workflow management system internally that is going to eventually be far more robust than what we had before, but right now is kind of working in safe mode. So there are some advanced things that we can't do. It makes it a little difficult sometimes for employees to look up products that were purchased online sometimes. And on the weekend, we don't have access to our Schrock Interactive staff unless it's an extraordinary circumstance. So it can become like, oh, we'll call you Monday, and then the guy who worked that day doesn't work on Monday, and then but I'm going to circulate it to all the powers that be, so I know about it. Parker knows about it. Eli knows about it in the service center in Lincoln, and I will follow up and make sure that you get that taken care of. All righty. Yeah, I know what you meant, requesting. All right. The hospital next to the Papillion Center? The hospital next to the Papillion Center is Midlands Hospital, I think. I thought OPPD had a truck that drove around. Yeah, they do. And our meters are electronic. But the thing is, during COVID, they're not putting the trucks out. So I'm trying to figure this out because my wife said the same thing. She's like, I thought that was all like you just drove around and it read the meters. I think what's happening is that the meters on our building are in the center of the building, and there is not a drive on the back of the building. So you can't drive past the meter, so I don't know what the range of the readers is. They might have to like literally get out of the car and walk up to the meter. Now I'm guessing when COVID hit, lots of businesses stopped using power. And as a result, OPPD's revenue probably went way down. So OPPD is not different than any other business. They're going to have to cut costs, and the one cost they can cut is labor. So maybe we don't need as many meter readers. Maybe we go to every other reading of the meter is a real one, or every third reading is a real reading, and all the others are estimates. I kind of have an issue if you're not going to disclose that, but I can read my own meter. Tell me to read it over the phone. Call me. Have an automated phone system call me and tell me to type in the numbers. You know, I mean, there are ways around this, but I'm just a little myth that OPPD charged us $11,000 for power. Yeah, it's a sore spot. I'm gonna stop talking about that now because it's gonna take me to a negative place. All right, I know how to read the meter, Keith. It's just numbers. It's just numbers. All right. Thank you for taking care of that, Kim. I appreciate it. Thor, you'd mentioned on the radio show that you could recycle all year round. I had called a store recently, and they said they only take them at certain times of the year. No, Michael, you can bring them in any time. Now, we do try to have a recycling event periodically where we make a really big deal about it, but we all have the green bins from Sadoff in our service centers. You can drop your stuff off anytime you want. Let me know, Michael, what service center you called, and I will make sure. Each service center has a trainee right now, so we literally have 4 trainees. We had one employee who left for another job. We had, oh golly, who was the other person who left? Jessica's out on bed rest right now because she's about to have her baby in Lincoln. And then we had another employee who went to a competitor, basically. So long story short, we have trainees in every service center right now. We try to keep them off the phones for the first month that they're with us because we don't want to, but if everybody's on the phone and the phone rings, they'll pick it up or they'll talk to you when you come in. So if that's the case, I apologize for the bad information. Let me know what service center you got that from, Michael, and I can make sure we get that corrected. Ooh. Tracy says I should file a complaint with the utility board in my state. Gosh, that seems like an escalation. I mean, maybe I'm too much of a pansy, I guess. Like, they charge me $11,000, but I don't want to make them mad. They might charge me more, you know. But I don't know. I mean, the thing that ticks me off is if we did this to a customer, if you were buying a safe upgrade and I accidentally charged $11,000 to you, oh, let's keep the numbers straight. Let's say I accidentally charged $1,000 to your bank account instead of $55. I'm going to fix that like now. You are my only priority until I fix that. Yeah, fantasy. I can't expect OPPD to behave that way, I guess. All righty. Deborah says it feels like we're talking to a friend, and that's why she likes it. Well, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate that. I haven't been able to listen to you lately, so you may have addressed this. Is it okay to download 14? No, don't do it. Don't do it. There's 14, 14.0.1, or 14.01 is released. It's causing even more problems. Wait for 14.02, and then wait to see if it's causing problems. So wait. Alrighty. Thank you, Keith, for jumping in and helping him with that. I appreciate it. Sometimes I don't go through the comments quick enough because I get on a tangent, guys. That's why I have to have an agenda for the regular show when the clock actually matters. I've already been doing this for 40 minutes. 35 minutes. Sorry, I was looking at the other clock over here. Saw your shop in West Des Moines Thursday. Very nice, and it doesn't smell like donuts. Oh, because it was a bakery before. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't smell like donuts. Loanne said she would like to get paid invoices when you purchase things like Safe Upgrade. You are supposed to get an invoice in your email, Loanne, when you buy something online. If you are not getting those invoices, let me know. You should have received an email. Now, it doesn't have like a paid stamp on it, but literally issue number like 126 on our we've created a prioritized list of bug fixes for our new workflow system, and in the moderate category is creating a paid stamp on an invoice, something that we can print out that says paid on it. In the meantime, all the service centers have a physical paid stamp that they can go ka-chunk and stamp on something and mail it to you. If you need that, we can get it to you. But you should get at least an invoice. It may not say paid, but an invoice, like a receipt back. Just like when you go buy something at Best Buy and they print out your receipt, it doesn't say paid on it. Everybody just knows that when you have a receipt, it's paid. And so that's a receipt. So you should be receiving a receipt. If you're not, let me know, and I will make sure that we get that corrected. Alrighty. OPPD used the hospital's meter reading to charge $11,000 to your pavilion shop. Oh, that could be, because if they're estimating, they're saying that here's the power usage for the node, and then here is like the percentage use that Schrock gets to pay. Maybe. But it's still not right. Oh, gosh, yes. See, Mark, this is exactly why. Mark just said, what about your holiday special thing, Thor? Here I've been doing the show for 37 minutes, and I haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about yet. So that is exactly why Thor needs an agenda. Okay? So here's the thing. We got the laptop nailed down. I believe we know exactly what we're going to do there. The desktop. The things people do with their desktops have changed. Now the desktop is a home office item. I feel like it's a foregone conclusion that we have to include a webcam this year with the desktop. So for Zoom meetings, the webcam would have an integrated microphone, so it would come with a microphone and a webcam. Is there anything else that we normally don't give you in a holiday special that you would like to see? For example, when you do your Zoom meetings, do you use headphones or do you use the speaker and the microphone on the computer? So what I'm getting at is, previous years we've got monitors that have built-in speakers. They're good enough, but they're not great. They're not good for a Zoom call at all. So for that, you're going to want like headphones or external speakers. So I'm trying to figure out, do we budget for external speakers? Do we budget for speakers in the monitor? Or do we budget a headset that has like a microphone and everything built into it to come with the computer to go along with everything else? So I guess that was my question. I wanted to find out, you guys who are using desktop computers, if you were going to replace your desktop computer, what are pieces of hardware for an out-of-the-box experience? We want you to be able to take the holiday special out of the box and immediately use it. So it's got everything you need, assuming you already have a printer, of course. What would you like us to see? What would you like to see with that holiday special? That was my question for the show today. All right. Oh, well, aside from that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I haven't covered yet, because, the aftershocks are getting a little obscene, guys. Pretty soon it's going to be like Rush Limbaugh here doing 3 hours. You can hear my voice is starting to go. I don't know why. Maybe I'm talking too loud. Maybe I just need to talk quieter, more quietly, quieter, more quietly. Oh, boy. But, yep, so I'll give everybody a couple seconds to ruminate on the speaker headset camera situation. The challenge we have with the holiday special, guys, is we sell it at cost, and the cost of every component has gone up this year. So without raising the price in the holiday special, if we add something like external speakers that cost us about $60, that's got to come out somewhere. So what am I not going to give you? If I give you a $150 webcam, Do you get a 500 gig solid state instead of a terabyte? There's a give back here that has to happen to equate everything. Maybe last year what we did to accommodate things was we dropped the backup drive. So you have a 1 terabyte solid state and the backup drive was 2 terabytes. We dropped it down to a 1 terabyte backup drive. And that saved us like $30 a computer, and that made up for the Wi-Fi 6 chip that we wanted to put in the computer. So there's always a give and a take. So that's why it's important that I know if you guys don't want webcams with the desktop, I'm not going to put a webcam with it because that would be silly to give people something they don't need or don't want. Yeah, you see the CD-ROM drive. Okay, guys, this is for real now. This is like survey time. Survey says DVD drive, yes or no? DVD drive, yes or no? The logic behind this in the past has been you're paying $1,500 for a creme de la creme Cadillac model computer that's going to last you a decade. Do we really want to cut the $80 DVD drive out of that to save money? Given that we could replace the $80 DVD drive with a set of external speakers, that might be something worthwhile. That's almost an even swap. But the way we handle it on our bound list is if you need the DVD drive, you add it back in. The other thing is if we don't use a DVD drive, that opens up the door for us to pick an entirely different case than what we use now, because the number of cases that you can get that actually have DVD slots is starting to get slim because people don't use DVDs anymore. Alrighty, and let's see. Deneen says we use both headphones or external speakers depending on the Zoom meeting and what is going on in the house at the time. Yeah. Lee says no. I'm saying no to getting rid of the DVD drive. Dean says yes. So right now we have 2 yeses and 1 no vote for getting rid of DVD drives in the holiday special. Here's another thing for you. What about the card reader? So the card reader is something we feel like we have to include in the holiday special because HP gives you a card reader, Dell gives you a card reader, everybody gives you a card reader. Do you actually ever use the card reader? But keep in mind now, if we take the card reader out and the DVD drive out, it's literally like a smooth, flat shoop of a computer. There's no external access to anything on the front of the computer. It's just flat. KJ, DVD drives are obsolete now. Yeah, they're literally, if you compare the usage of a DVD drive to that of a zip drive or a floppy drive, they're real close. Maybe floppy drive might be an extreme case. But the only thing people use DVDs for anymore is burning things. Saving things. Backing up is too big now to fit on a DVD. Yeah, a larger, better hard drive. Are you planning? We are planning on getting one this year. Yes to the webcam and microphone. No to the headphones. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, the headset I thought would be kind of a. The problem with I wear a headset when I wear my radio headphones when I do my Zoom meeting because they've got noise cancellation and I can focus directly on what I'm doing. That works out. Other people have bigger hair than me. Headphones aren't friendly to hair. There's other considerations here that other people who use it wouldn't like the headphones as well. No one uses their PC for DVDs anymore. Everything is streamed and can be downloaded to a USB, etc. You're absolutely right. Beck. No to DVD. Wow, I'm really surprised how many people are telling me to get rid of the DVD drive here, because internally we've wanted to do it for a long time, but it seems like every time we do it, somebody complains. Where don't even give a DVD drive, or I have to pay for a DVD drive? What kind of fancy computer is this? That's like buying a fancy car and finding out that it doesn't have an 8-track player in it. Yes, Mercedes got rid of the 8-track player. I'm sorry. Alrighty. Okay. Alright, so that's good to know. Alright, well, thank you very much for the feedback, guys, on the DVD drives. I will definitely take that under advisement. There's better than 50% odds you're not going to see a DVD drive on the computer this year. But the thing is, then if we get rid of the DVD drive, if we also get rid of the card reader, we can pick a really cool case, something that's a smaller form factor than the big giant case. There's 2 schools of thought here. Number 1, from Marketing 101, when you're buying a great big giant case, even though it's mostly full of air, there's a perceived value. And if I get a heavier case instead of a lighter case, it has a perceived value. A lot of people don't know the story, but In the 80s, everybody thought Japan was going to buy America. Like, Japan was taking over, right? There were movies in the 80s about car manufacturing in Japan and everything else. Competing with the Japanese, we can build better cars in America, all that stuff. Well, Japan started taking American inventions like the TV and the VCR and making them better, or making them more cheaply in Japan, but the quality control wasn't there. So they'd ship these things over to America. And when you pick up a remote control for a Japanese television, it was just the circuit board inside and the battery. It was very light. It felt cheap. It felt like there was nothing to it. It felt like you could crush it in your hand. When you picked up the American remote control with big old solder balls in there and 14 batteries and big buttons and a great big thick, it had some meat to it. Like, I feel like a man holding my remote control now. So Japan figured out that their product was being perceived as junk because it was too light. They actually started putting lead weights inside the remote control to make it heavier, because the perceived value of the weight, something that is valuable is heavy. A computer that is valuable is heavy. A computer that is valuable is large. Well, obviously we can put the tech in a smaller box, especially if we get rid of the DVD drive and the card reader. We can put it into a much smaller box. The question is, should we? If we do that, then the challenge becomes, well, what if you wanted to add a card reader someday in the future? Is it still modular? Yeah, it's kind of some interesting questions. So there's some philosophical stuff going on there too. Alrighty, let's see. Got a TurboTax DVD that shares up to 5 times the family, which ends up cheaper. Well, Richard, the point though is you can copy that DVD onto a flash drive and then take it anywhere. In fact, if you sign up for your TurboTax account, I'm pretty sure you can download the software and license it 5 times through the internet. Alright. External DVD. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we sell external DVDs for the laptops now because none of the laptops come with DVD drives anymore. If no optical drive, external optical drive in the service center. Yeah, we have loaners that we give out too for people who need them for like a one-off, like the tax thing. We'll loan you one and you can bring it back. Do they really weight the iPhone boxes, lovely Kimberly? To make the box feel more valuable? External DVD, I store it in a box, bring it out when I need it, and put it back in the box. I'll probably go to an external hard drive someday to do the same thing. Well, see, the challenge, though, is if we provide you with the external DVD, it's actually more expensive than just putting the DVD in the computer. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. I got to get going. But thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to click like and share on the program. It means a lot to us to help spread the word of the show to other people that can listen to it as well. I want to say thanks to all the other computer repair shops that follow the program. You guys, having you comment and having people commenting around and sharing experiences and stuff between shop owners really does a lot of good for a lot of people. A lot of our customers all benefit from it, and I take some solace in it too sometimes. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great afternoon and have a great Sunday.